marionette, and the narrative about Ukraine being a fascist and radical state. All of these narratives are to a certain extent interconnected. For example, the narrative about Ukraine being a failed state and having absolutely no functioning institutions is tightly connected to the idea of Ukraine being under foreign governance. And by foreign governance, usually Washington is meant. So we can see that the idea is promoted that Ukraine is not able to govern itself, but is governed by the United States, which are the ultimate enemy to the Russian people. The narrative about Russophobic Ukraine is also very widespread and also very continuous and substantial in regard to coverage, as actually all of them are, because we have been conducting this research and doing monitoring on a regular basis for the last couple of years, and we have seen that while the predominance of a single narrative may change, they are still all very visible and they are still all there. For example, in 2014-15, the narrative of civil war in Ukraine was the predominant one. However, later, and it was especially visible during the presidential and now the parliamentary electoral campaign, the narrative of Ukraine being a failed state is more popular. And we can see this in a way that Russian media shift their attention to the topics that are of more urgent interest and are connected to the events that keep going on in Ukraine. And this instrumentalization of sorts is a trademark of Russian narratives. There have been several examples to talk not just about television, but what has been done on social media and internet platforms. For example, a massive information campaign in regard to utilizing LGBT-related issues in a very negative context has been held on Facebook and on Twitter in 2013-2014. It was done so in relation to Ukraine signing the association agreement with European Union. So the negative LGBT-related rhetoric was heavily pushed by Russian trolls and bots, majorly for two goals. The first goal was to persuade Russian audience that Ukraine making a step closer to European Union and a step further away from Russia was a bad thing, because it put Ukrainian population under the threat of the liberal values and threatening traditional values. And the second goal was to persuade the conservative part of Ukrainian population that consumed Russian media content of the same thing, that supporting European and Euro-Atlantic integration for Ukraine is a bad thing to do, and basically you shouldn't do it, you should keep closer to Russia. This is not the only one example of instrumentalizing the topics that are of utmost importance at the moment. Another example we could talk about was how Russian media have started talking about Russophobia heavily in 2014. An extensive research performed by Digital Forensic Research Laboratory, a part of Atlantic Council, has shown that Russophobia, which is a trademark for Russian narratives, has started being heavily employed in 2014 as sort of an aggressive defensive reaction to the Ukrainian and Western response to Russian annexation of Crimea and starting a war in the eastern regions of Ukraine. I'm sorry, I really need to catch a breath.